Come here, lad. Come here, and I'm gonna force feed you a wee shot of Glenmorangie. Would you like to see the menu for desserts and coffees? Or are you okay just for the bill? The chopper is coming. Get down.
Good evening and welcome to the ranch. My name's Carl and I'll be looking after you this evening. Can I start you off with any drinks? We're gonna keep in touch, right?
Get off my land. If I can speak to Mr. B, please? Mr. B, I give you best car finance. You're gonna try and do a number on me? Are you having a complete bubble?
Why, what do I look like, me lad? I'm a leprechaun.
No, Gail, he's not going out buying chips. Through these doors walk the filthiest, scummiest people.
Babadam Express?
You sick man. Just stay away from me, man. Yeah? Well, I'm gonna send that flaming long-haired yahoo right back to Summer Bay.
Neighbourhood Watch? Yes, Neighbourhood Watch. I'd like to make a complaint about these bloody people running all over my flower beds.
What? Huh? What do you say? All right, hang on, but I'll be there now in a minute, right?
Do it. Do it. Unite the clans.
Hunters, how's it going? CueBall's in Rambles, episode 29. Oh, and we can swear in this as well. I don't know if you knew that. On today's show, bollock thing, whatever, I have a person who, so this is what he is, okay? So hopefully I got this right. So he's a Harley Davidson enthusiast. He's a rescue scuba diver. He's a frontman for the Merthyr Tydfil band Plasterscene. He's the artist of the famous Janet Street Porter Nude painting. He's a well-traveled wrestler, holder of multiple titles from multiple different promotions around the UK and wherever else he's been. Speaking of which, he has one right there. And he is a former promoter for Celtic Wrestling. I give you the man, the myth, the fucking legend, the Crocodilian psycho / artist, Caiman.
Mr. Hardy, how are we?
Fucking Hardy. Bloody hell. Yeah.
Didn't I do a job to that guy once?
That wasn't my
I'm
fault.
sure I did, man. I'm sure I done a job to Jack Hardy.
Yeah, I actually came across the messages about the planning of that match, and the other day, yeah.
Happy days.
Yeah, it's
Fun
all
times, man. Fun times.
But I think that was the last time me and you actually seen each other in person as well.
I think it could well have been, man. I remember driving home.
That's
you
right.
falling asleep in the passenger seat. I had to drop you somewhere, possibly Newport. Yeah, that rings a bell. I'm not sure if that's the night I ran over a badger or if that was another night. I'm not sure, but I'd been up that neck of the woods, and maybe that's another story for another day.
So yeah. Anyway, so how you been?
Yeah, good, man. Good. Lockdown's been a bit testing, but you take something good out of something bad, don't you? And I had a painting on television, thanks to lockdown. So I mustn't grumble. You all right?
Yeah, man, I'm loving life. Positivity flowing. I had a bad moment, as you know. And thanks for being there when I needed somebody.
Always.
All good though. I'm all good now. So happy days.
Good, man. Glad to hear it, mate. Glad to hear it.
Oh, should we get into the juicy questions?
Let's play.
Right. So obviously, I asked the same question for everybody who comes on here because everybody has a unique story. So how and why did you get into wrestling?
Always loved it. Always wanted to be involved in it. Never had a clue how the hell I was going to get involved in it. This was before the internet was rife. I used to grab a few of the losers in school. I was one of them as well. We'd congregate together around the sports hall, get these little like peppy belts and what have you. They were our championships, and we'd just start wrestling. That's as far as I thought it'd go. I took that then to a Sunday afternoon. My next door neighbour then, Ryan, I'd always knock for him. God rest his soul, he's no longer with us. I'd knock for him, drag him to a nearby field, Back then, I was thinking, right, wrestling is legit. I got to do what I can to beat my neighbour. Ended up damn near killing the guy. All right. So if anyone's watching, thinking of training or thinking of being a wrestler, please do get trained first. All right, because there were some tears and some unwanted visits from friends' parents to my parents and some grounding, etc. But anyway, after that, I thought that's as far as it was probably going to go. Then I came across an advert for NWA UK Hammerlock in the back of a magazine called Superstars of Wrestling, later rebranded as Power Slam magazine, yeah? So I thought to myself, it's now or never, I've got to give this a whirl. So basically I booked my National Express ticket as I didn't drive at the time. The training was in Kent. I went down there, did a little bit. I was in atrocious condition at the time as well, physically. I could hardly breathe by the end of the warm-up. I was literally rolling around in a puddle of my own sweat. But after the warm-up, I was really grateful, really pleased, really relieved that it was over. And I probably lost about the stone as well by then, just through that warm-up. But that's where I met Andre Baker and John Ryan, who I thank for my training. They were my trainers. We had a large matted area there. It was the East Street Martial Arts Centre in, I believe it was either Ashford or Sittingbourne in Kent. But they put us through our paces. We had guest trainees on this camp as well, Fergal David being one of them. You may know him otherwise as Finn Balor. So loads of different people training us, guest trainers and what have you on this seminar. Did the camp, loved it, was hooked, thought to myself, right, there's nothing in Wales. I'm just going to have to travel back and forth to Kent for a while. So that's what I did. Convinced some friends of mine, different ones on different occasions, to join me. The wrestling was the best thing in the world ever, that they were going to love it. So different friends would travel with me, take that journey to Kent occasionally, and they'd train with me. They'd decide then after the one session, right, it wasn't for them. But they're good mates are coming anyway, so I thank them dearly. I took a few journeys on my own, and then there was another camp later down the line, a few months later, also in Kent. Did that one, and then Andre Baker said to me, right, you're going to go on the Rumble tonight. I was like, eh? He said, right, you're going to go on the Rumble tonight. I said, are you doing the first time? I'm not ready. He said, well, you'll never be ready. When's ready? When are you ready? I'm like, not now. Yeah, you'll be fine. Fuck it, get in there. So I was like, oh, shit. So basically with a show, I believe it was in Margate that night. There were about 400 people in attendance. I was shaking like the proverbial shitting dog in the locker room. Skinny as a rake, not a bit of muscle on me. I borrowed some wrestling kit, a singlet off Danny Garnell, who was, he'd been wrestling with Hammerlock for a while. John Ryan structured the Rumble, so everyone was in at a certain time, everyone had their number, everyone had little spots worked out, and everyone had music as well. As it go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, etc. 1, you know, your music was hit and you'd hit the ring. So I was there. I think I was about halfway through about number 15, something like that in this Rumble. Shaking like the proverbial shitting dog behind the curtain, wondering what was going to go on, wondering if I'd remember my spots and everything. Anyway, 10, 9, still shaking like that proverbial shitting dog. 8, shaking even more. 7, 6, 5, really shaking now, stomach in knots. 4, 3, oh my God, I'm going to lose it all. 2, 1, it's my time, right? I'm a heel. I go out, burst through the curtain, like that, wait for my music, listening to it, and I hear, now I've had the time of my life. That was it. That was the first rip officially played on me. It was my wrestling debut. I thought that was it. I'm in pieces here. I don't know what to do. The best thing to do is just act silly with it, act daft with it, act even nastier than I was anyway. Anyway, that entrance damn near killed me. I made my way to the ring. As I slid under the bottom rope, somewhat gingerly, I had a Scottish wrestler by the name of Conscience stamp all over me. I had White Tiger lay the boots in on me. I had Devilman then as well, and White Tiger do a double team on me. There were 3 wrestles on me at one point. One had me in like a camel clutch. One had me in like a Boston Crab, and then Devilman hit the ropes and delivered what I thought was about to be a worked kick to my forehead. You can't really work that kick to the forehead, so it was just like, have that, boom, ow, that hurt. Yeah, I lasted, I think, about 6 or 7 minutes, which isn't bad for a run, but I went back there, I had handprints all over me, I had aches and pains in places I didn't even know that I had places. The entrance music was haunting me. I think I went to bed with that tune in my head on a loop that night. But I woke up then the next day thinking, shit, I've done it. I've entered a wrestling ring. So to me, that was a massive milestone. I never thought I'd be able to do it. Forever thankful to Andre for giving me that opportunity and pushing me out of my comfort zone, really, because I don't think you're ever really ready to do it. But when your mentor or your trainer tells you, yeah, get in there, it's time, that's when it is time. But basically, in a nutshell, that's how I got into it. Yeah, and it was a ball. It was tough. The training was hard in Hammerlock. They train you to hit hard in safe places. And I was hit hard in every safe place on my body that night. But, you know, it was a good buzz and a great experience. And that was the start for me.
So would you say you had the time of your life?
Nice pun. In a nutshell, yeah, I had the time of my life, but I think the guys beating the piss out of me had a pretty good time as well.
Yeah, nice. So who was your biggest influences then?
Growing up, biggest influences. Well, I was introduced to wrestling through the Hogan Warrior era. So obviously, I think it was around the time Hogan versus Warrior. That's probably one of the first matches I saw. So Hogan and Warrior, big influences, but I used to chop and change a lot. I knew I wasn't supposed to like Ravishing Rick Rude, but I did. But I wouldn't tell all the lads at school that I liked him because they'd be like, he's a baddie. You can't like the bad guys. What's going on? I knew I wasn't supposed to then, and it was all totally legit to me then as well. Also, massive fan of The Undertaker from the start when he came in Survivor Series 1990. He was like, wow, look at this guy. And there was no one, like, he was huge. He was just up there. And there was no one like that back then. He was just this big monster. And the gimmick was just so believable. And, you know, especially for like a 11, 12-year-old kid, it was like, shit, this guy can do it. But he was a massive influence. Also, probably based on patriotism, the British Bulldog as well, another massive influence. And in later years then, as I was sort of studying wrestling, Cactus Jack, Old School Mankind as well. It was pretty funky. I remember the Hell in a Cell. That was like sort of just as I was starting my wrestling training sort of thing. Hell in a Cell with Foley, fought The Undertaker. They went up on top of the cage and he ended up with a bit of tuft in his nose, etc. I was like, wow, I want my tuft in my nose, you know? It was a moment.
Nice. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, obviously, when you're a kid, you're like with wrestling, you're like, oh my fucking god, that's amazing. And then you want to, when you grow up, like, oh, I want to try that. You do the training for a bit, you sort of learn things, don't you? Like just little things, and then you watch wrestling, and then you're just like, it's sometimes shits on it a little bit, but you still love it regardless.
Yeah, you look at it through different eyes, then, don't you? You look at it more of a student than as a fan. More of a, I don't know, kind of like if you go and watch a magic show, yeah, as a kid, it's like, wow, how do you do that? Like, but then as you watch it later, say you're becoming a magician, it's like, it's good how we did that. I'm watching it. I figured out how we did that, Much the same with wrestling.
So let's talk about your time training. So compared to what it was like from when you were training, what's the difference with training now? Would you say it's a lot easier for the guys training now?
There's a lot more opportunity now.
Your talent meter is.
A lot more schools. So the internet has played a big part in that as well. You can just type into Google now, wrestling training in your area, and you'll pretty much find something, a cheeky bus journey away or a cheeky car journey away. So there is more opportunity now. The quality of training differs depending on where you go, I think. I mean, there's some people training people who really, they shouldn't even be in a ring themselves, I don't think. But there's other people who do a thorough job and hats off to them, you know. It's a bit of hit and miss, you know. But there are loads of opportunities, and there's loads of places for people to go, which I don't think is a bad thing. But I do think people need to be reputable before they start training people, you know.
So, what was it like taking your first bump? Do you
Take
remember?
my first bump.
Yeah, everybody remembers their first bump.
Take the first bump in training or first bump just before training, you know, because I bumped before I should have really bumped, you know.
Training. We're saying training.
In training, first bump in training, we all lined up. They said, right, anyone who's done training before, go to the front. If you haven't done training, go to the back. So I was somewhere at the back there. They explained how to do it. John Ryan at the time, he explained, you were right, tuck your chin, you won't bang your head. Spread as wide as you can, take as much impact as you can, blah, 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 blah. Just explain the process of bumping. So everyone took a little go. Again, it was a stomach churning moment. You're in that queue. Each time someone takes a bump, you're a little bit closer, you know, a little bit closer to the noose and the gallows. So yeah, stomach was churning, got there eventually. Then it was my turn to bump. Thankfully, it was a half decent bump. I got away with it. It wasn't my greatest, but you know, compared to some of the other guys, you know, some guys in training, they just don't take it in at all. Some of them were just like landing in a bridge position and all that, you know what I mean, with arms behind their heads and everything. It was like, okay. But yeah, my first bump wasn't too bad. Did knock the fucking wind out of me mind, because I thought, right, I'm here, there's all eyes on me, everyone in this room is watching me, I need to make this good. So I bumped solid, you know, I did knock the wind out of myself. We were like, you okay? Yeah, great. You know, but yeah, it wasn't too bad. Bumping came quite naturally.
So the guys that you trained with back then, do you see any of them now? Are any of them still on the indie circuit right now?
Yeah, a few of them are. There's Jekyll. He's still out and about. There's, one of them's wrestling for AEW now. Havoc, Jimmy Havoc. He's wrestling for AEW now. Stu Sanders, a.k.a. The Pinnacle, a.k.a. Wade Barrett. He's obviously been about and done a bit. I don't need to explain what he's done. He's done wonders in wrestling. Obviously, Fergal DeVitt, a.k.a. Finn Balor. He's doing all right for himself as well. Yeah, a lot of them have moved on to bigger and better things, you know. A lot of them have just left it, though, and just, you know, done their bit and retired now. But, yeah, there's a few of them still out there.
So would you say, obviously I know you've stepped away from the ring a couple of times, would you say your last time in the ring was your last time ever, or are you going to be coming back?
Coming back. Yeah,
do you know where
you definitely.
Do you know 100%. Where you want to go?
Huh?
Do you know where you want to go?
No, I don't really. But I know I'm not done in my stomach and in my mind and in my heart. You know what I mean? It's like the last match I had, I tagged with Rene Dupree against Team KO. Yeah. And it was a great match as far as I'm concerned. It was brilliant. It was easy. They were all so easy to work with. It was simple. And the audience that was there were in the palm of our hands from start to finish. Granted, a lot of that was due to Rene's mind and everything. But, you know, it depends who your opponents are and everything as well. You know, you can't have... To make a square, you've got to have four corners, right? Take one corner out of that, the square's going to collapse. But that square stayed structured for that match, and it was a great match and a great finish as well. And yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. So I don't know, I've gone off track a bit with the question, I'm like, but where do I want to go? What do I want to do? I don't know. There's a few options. I wouldn't mind beating Danny Owens around the ring. That sounds a bit wild, doesn't it? The wrestling ring, might I add. Let's get that in there before you edit it.
No. Me? Would I really do that?
Yeah, well, who knows? I wouldn't mind another one with Bassey, just smashing each other around the face and all that. That could be interesting as well, you know? I seen him earlier on. He was outside my house when I got back here and he was talking to me about something. I charged at him, like, as you do. But, you know, with a 2 meter distance, of course.
Yeah. Cool. Well, who knows what happens there? You never say never, as they say.
And I also wouldn't mind if Chris Rico, and I'm going to put this out there now, if Chris Rico was prepared for one night only to come out to retirement and he and I could go one more time with Scouse and Ham, Method of Madness, I would love to do that because wrestling them too, right? I trained them both, and to see how they progressed from what they were to what they become, it was a pleasure by the end of it, scrapping with them week in, week out. And every time they'd get better and better. And the reactions we'd all be getting, the four of us would get better and better. I just love for a nostalgia trip, if nothing else, to do that one more time, you know? So, Chris Rico, you're first. Come on, pal. Let's do it, bro.
Maybe another tie and dye versus Method of Madness.
Sounds good. Live on that tie-dye!
Lovely, nice. So, your first year in a business, talk to me about that. So you had your Rumble spot where you got ribbed. So first year, following from that.
First year in the business, right. Hammerlock, pretty much was my first year in the business. It was all Hammerlock. I spoke to Andre after training. He was obviously the promoter for NWA UK Hammerlock. I spoke to him. I was like, right, I'm limited. I can't come down every week. I'm just coming down scattered as and when I can. I want to train more regular. Any chance of doing something in Wales? He said, yeah, find me a venue. I said, what, just like that? He said, yeah, find me a venue. So a friend of mine used to practice. He was in a band, he used to practice in CUTOUT Community Hall in Cardiff. So he said, I'll ask the guy there. So he asked him. He's like, yeah, we'll do it. So I got on to Andre. Look, there's a venue here. He said, brilliant. Book it for a show for me. We'll do a show there. So I was like, oh, fantastic. I said, can I have a singles? Because I was doing Rambles up until now. I said, if I got this show, can I have a singles match, please, Andre? Mr. Baker. He was like, yeah, of course you can. You can have whatever you want. I'm like, oh, fantastic. So we booked this show in CUTOUT. I promoted the shit out of it, right? Because I wanted to make a good impression as well and show Andre that I wasn't just some numpty. It was like, right, we're going to do this. We're going to do it good. So CUTOUT Community Hall. I don't know if you've been to the venue. No?
Nowhere.
It's pretty run down at the time. It was. I think they've had a refurb now, but it was pretty run down. It smelled of damp and fucking rat's piss, you know. It was one of them venues. Quality hardcore venue, you know. But we got in there for the show and everything. Andre said, right, brilliant, we're going to run this show, you're fantastic. So we had wrestlers from all over there. Fergal DeWitt was on it. He was teaming with Paul Tracy at the time. Funny story about the hotel, remind me later. They were there. We had Tank there. So all the NWA Hammerlock originals. Some of the Midlands Championship Wrestling boys were down there, like Psycho Steve, Magic, and all that as well. And then there were the new upstarts. So we were running the show there, and we decided we were going to run a training once a month there from CUTOUT as well. So we done the show. I was part of a gauntlet match, which basically means two people start, one loses, one man stays on, next opponent comes in, etc. So first of all, it was Psycho Steve versus Exodus. Exodus beat Psycho Steve, I believe. Then I went in, I beat Exodus. So first singles match, little victory choked up there. Then came in Conscience. He put me up in this like razor's edge thing, dropped me down, chucked me in like a crossface, and I had to tap out then as well. So it was a bit, you know, yin yang, a bit sweet and sour. It was like, yeah, I won. Oh shit, I'm tapping, you know. But and I was the face there as well, because when I first went out in CUTOUT, I gave the old to be a heel, and all of a sudden everyone, because loads of people knew me there, I was like, yeah. I was like, oh shit, game changer. But yeah, I got a "you tapped out" chant then as well, which was quite humiliating for I'd become like a hometown hero. But yeah, so it started with Hammerlock. We were doing shows every now and then. We were doing training from Cardiff as well then, so I didn't have to travel down to Kent all the time. We'd run a couple of shows every couple of months, every 2 months or so. We'd run a show from CUTOUT. And then Alan, who now runs Welsh Wrestling, was at one of those shows. He came up to me then. He was like, oh, I'm starting a promotion, Pro Power Wrestling, PPW. Do you want to wrestle on the show? He was with Johnny the Body at the time, yeah, Johnny Rose. Yeah. They were just punters in the crowd. I was like, yeah, I'd love to, brilliant. So we swapped details on that. I wrestled on his first show in Kentwick Hill. It was a tournament for the PPW Heavyweight Championship, the crown of first champion. So I wrestled someone in the first round, and then I wrestled a Midlands champion, a Midlands wrestler then, but in a Carl Misery in the final. And I went over for the PPW Heavyweight Championship. So that was the first title I ever won in my first year of wrestling. But basically, that was my first year of wrestling. Predominantly, it was hammerlock, just breaking in, starting out. And then from there, later in the year, I started wrestling as a regular on PPW. So, yeah, it wasn't a bad first year. It was hard. And in them Rambles especially, you know. You're in there with the people who have come before you, and they're a boss, basically. You know, they're a boss. It's all about respect. When they say you're going over that top rope, it's time to go. You know, when they tell you to jump, you know, you're asking how high. It's all about respect and that. Respect, get in there. Those who come before you, give it to them, learn from them, you know. But no, it was a good buzz. And it takes a while to start learning. A good while to start learning. You learn so much in training, and then when you start wrestling, you start learning how to wrestle, if you're with me.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, completely understand what you're saying. Yeah. So yeah, it was a good first year. Really good first year. Fair play.
It wasn't a bad first year. Yeah, it was good. I did train for about 6 or 7 months in total. Other than that first Rumble, like, you know, before having singles matches and that, mind, you know. So it was quite a spell, but I think that did me good. You know, we'd have matches and training and that as well. Always, we'd have the other trainees sit around the ring, act like an audience. You know, we'd have some audience acting like smarts and all that as well, shouting, "No, you know, I know your sister," and all that shit. You know, and you just have to try and focus, because you're going to have that shit when you're in shows, like, you know. So you just got to learn to live with it, learn to react to it properly without jumping out of the ring and kicking someone in the face. So it's all good.
Yeah. So, a few years later, Celtic Wrestling comes along. Obviously, it was going to be mentioned, because every fucker on here, for some reason, loves Celtic. Okay?
I love Celtic, you know that, I do.
Yeah.
Some people love it, some people hate it. But each to their own. I don't judge. You don't like it, don't look at it. Simple.
That's it. Definitely, man. So let's hear about your time in Celtic then.
Right, Celtic Wrestling. A lot of people know I started Celtic Wrestling. I was the Celtic Wrestling promoter. I didn't initially start it to be a promoter. I initially started Celtic Wrestling because I was getting shows every now and then with PPW. Alan wasn't running as regular as he does now, right? I was going to shows every now and then with NWA, UK Hammerlock, but they were few and far between. So I just thought to myself, right, how can I get noticed? Because I was messaging all these promoters and everything, saying, right, this is me, blah, 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 book me. And they don't reply at all, you know? So I just thought, right, how can I get noticed? How can I get noticed? I said, right, I know what I'll do. I'll start the promotion. I'll get some good talent in. I'll put myself in with the good talent, so I'm learning off them. And I'll book myself quite strong, but without putting the belt on myself, because I don't agree with promoters putting the belts on themselves. Come to that later.
Good.
So that's what I did. I basically launched Celtic Wrestling. We did our first show. We filled Catay's Community Hall. It was packed. Wasn't a great show. It was okay. But it wasn't the greatest because the ring started collapsing and everything. You may have heard stories about the Celtic Wrestling ring that I bought. It was originally an old World of Sport ring. It was later on television. It was the Transatlantic Wrestling Challenge ring, where USA would come over and wrestle UK guys. And that was on ITV for a short spell in the late 90s. And it was later the NWA UK Hammerlock ring. Well, it was Hammerlock guys who were the British guys predominantly wrestling on the Transatlantic Wrestling Challenge. So yeah, the ring was falling apart. That's when I met Spam. He told me he was a welder. He was like, brilliant, we can use you. And a welder and security guy is like, great, come on the shows. You can do security around the ring. bring your fucking welder with you as well, just in case. So, yeah, that's how Celtic started. We started the Celtic Training Academy then as well. Not so much an academy. It was just a few of us getting together. Like, Bolt approached me, Tommy Dean. Bassy approached me, Bassy's brother. They were like, we want to get into wrestling. We don't know how to do it. So we just booked a combat room at the leisure centre. We just go through a few bits and pieces every Sunday. And then occasionally then, we put a ring up in Catay's Community Hall and do a little ring session there as well. So we were building new talent while booking, you know, seasoned veterans like Mad Dog, Johnny Rose, Cade Callis, etc. A few of the guys who came through NWA Hammerlock. Oh, Ricky Hype, by the way, as well. He won The Apprentice. He trained with me through Hammerlock as well. But yeah, booking Hype, booking Nick Beretta. So that's how Celtic sort of built. It just went on from there then. I started doing like a show a month. Then I started doing 2 shows a month. Then before I knew it, I was doing like 4 or 5 shows a month then, you know, it was great. And then I got noticed by various different promotions. I ended up doing a deal with Simon in Irish Whip Wrestling where I go over there and wrestle. I bring a few of the Irish Whip Wrestling roster over to wrestle as well. So it was great for me because I get to tour Ireland and try proper Guinness as well as wrestle on television, which I did then. They had Whiplash TV on the wrestling channel. So I wrestled on there. And yeah, basically we'd have an influx of people then in Celtic wrestling. We had Irish Whip people, Midlands people, homegrown people, up-and-comers, underdogs from who I'd been training. And then other promoters would get in touch with me then as a promoter and say, oh, look, I've got so-and-so in town now. For example, Tracy Smothers, Steve Carino, etc. Do you want to use them on your show? We'll split the flights. We'll go that way. It's like, yeah, brilliant, let's do it. So I'd have them in then as well. I'd have them do seminars for us, so we're all learning from them. And I put myself against that talent as well then because I wanted to learn more. You know, I'm the man paying them a hell of a lot of money at the end of the day, so why shouldn't I get something out of it? Some might call that selfish. I call it, I didn't want to be a promoter. I just wanted to progress as a wrestler. So yeah, that's where we went with Celtic.
No, I can respect that. Yeah, I can, you know, that sounds fair enough. You know, me personally, I don't have anything bad to say about that because I think in a way that's kind of the right thing. You're putting yourself against these established fucking guys who worked in ECW, WWF and all that. And you, at the same time, no, you're not even doing that. You're establishing yourself. You're getting yourself better. You're getting advice off them. You're getting experience. So, yeah, it's just basically having a seminar, but in front of a paying audience, I guess, isn't it?
That's exactly it. That's how I look at it. Because some of those matches I had, like with Tracy Smothers, I fought, not just in Celtic, in other places as well. I fought like Pierre Carlo as well. Yeah, he was in the Quebecers back in the day. I fought him as well in Irish Whip. Weren't the greatest matches I've ever had, but I learned more from those matches because they were with these guys, you know what I mean? More so after the match, it'd be like, all right, you know, I don't want to just go, oh yeah, great match, cheers, thank you for that. Ta-da. I'd go back, I'd be like, all right, you know, what did I do wrong? First of all, was, can you tell me what could have worked better and all that? And then little things, you know, like Pierre, he just said to me, he said, right, and because he was who he was, I held back a bit, right? Because I normally do chuck him in, people will tell you that, all right? Because he was who he was, I thought, right, I'm not going to go full pelt. But one of the first things he said to me, he said, right, I'm in the corner, you clothesline me, fucking throw that arm into me, you fucking nail me, like, you know? It's like, in my head, I was like, oh, what? That's what I normally do anyway, you know? I've sold myself short, yeah? But yeah, you do learn a lot. Like Steve Carino as well, after our match, after I wiped the blood from my face, it was like, right, pointers, and I'd always take something from it. Tracy as well, great advice guy, Tracy Smothers. He'd tell you as well, and he'd bring examples and bring people in and all that. He'd be like, right, if you did that, and Arn Anderson saw that, he'd cripple you and everything. It's like, all right, when like selling the knee and all that, it's like, right, you've just taken a big hit to the knee there. and now you're on the top rope dropping an elbow. No. Or if you are on that top rope, by the time you get there, you're thanking God you got it, you know, and you've got to keep selling it, you know. But you learn a lot from them. Like I said, the matches weren't the greatest, though I did thoroughly enjoy the Steve Corino match. But the experience benefited me as a wrestler more so than the actual content of the match, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally, yeah. It all is just a learning curve. I mean, you could go out there and job to somebody called Jack Hardy, you know?
Jeff Hardy. Hey, Jeff Hardy was the man from what I remember.
I don't know. I think it was, me doing this Jeff Hardy fucking tribute thing, Johnny the Body.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
Me and Luke were backstage, remember? Because it was a tag match, wasn't it?
Yeah, you both wearing your pink
singlets. Because he was Caiman 2, wasn't he? Because he wore my other singlet. That's right, wasn't it? Caiman 1 and Caiman 2.
Yeah.
Against you and Johnny, wasn't it?
Right, yeah.
Yeah. But when the music hit, Luke was saying to me, this is fucking wrong. This is wrong. I can't believe he's done this. I can't believe he's done this. Because it was Jeff Hardy's music. And you come out. It was like, yeah. It was nuts. It was just surreal. It was like, and you looked a bit like him, man, as well, if I may say so, you know?
Yeah.
Like, Jack Hardy. And me and Luke were just like, what the fuck? This is just unreal.
You can imagine how I felt when Johnny came up to you about it. So, do you want to do a Jeff Hardy tribute?
Oh, it was Johnny's idea, was it?
Yeah, it wasn't my idea.
I thought it might have been.
Obviously, I was doing JP. I had the face.
That's right. I actually liked that gimmick as well, may I say, right?
Oh, thank you.
I really did like that gimmick. I think it would have gone down the storm. I think, you know, now, if it was there now, I think it'd go down great. I do. I think it'd be fantastic. I think it's a fucked up gimmick, isn't it? I like it. It's freaky, you know? And I like some of them promos you did as well with it. It's going to be insane. It's fucking, you know, I'm not just saying that. I did. Because I heard you say on a previous one of these that I don't think my gimmick would have worked in Celtic. I beg to differ. I do think it would have worked in Celtic. And I think if that opportunity had arisen, we would have made it work in Celtic, I think.
Celtic is one of them places where I'm gutted I never got a chance to work.
Well, you know, hey, never say never.
Exactly. And the same with the JP gimmick. You should never say never. I mean,
never say never. Never ever say never. Only thing I'll say never about Twilight. Never!
Get the reference, but okay, fine. It's funny. Haha, we're laughing. So, this is my favourite part of the show now. This is CueBall's cutouts. So, on this bit, it goes into the intro bit, and then I'm just going to cut this little bit here, and then we're going to go back into it. Need a breather. So, this is CueBall's cutouts. When somebody comes on the show, on that day, I stalk their Facebook profile or whatever. I sound so stupid when I say that. Yeah. So I go onto their I go onto their profiles, find a picture, whether it be embarrassing, nostalgic, funny, whatever. So I got 2 pictures, but I'm gonna save the one towards the end.
Oh, what a treat!
So here we go. If I can, there we go. Can we see this?
Yes, I see it.
So give us the whole who, what, where, and how malarkey. That's
the tie-dye mafia. That is Canton Community Hall by the look of the backstage area. Rico and I both busted open. I'm going to suggest that we probably fought Method of Madness there, judging by the state on us both. Awesome memories tagging with him. No, it's not. We weren't a tag team then. We were opponents then. I can tell by the bandana around my neck. I know when that was. That was, I think it was a loser leaves town match, myself and Rico, before we became a tag team. We used everything. We used chairs, tables, drawing pins, thumbtacks, whatever you want to call them. We both got a bit of juice going. We were both cut. We both had the crimson masks. I think I just washed my face there. Obviously, he hasn't got to his yet. Fantastic stuff. Fantastic memories from Canton Community Hall. They were probably my favourite shows that I ever wrestled on. Fantastic memories of Chris Rico. He was probably one of, if not my favourite person to wrestle. It was so easy. We didn't even have to discuss things backstage. By the end of it, it was just like, right, we'll go out. Let's just mess about, this guy wins, this guy wins. Such great chemistry. What a great guy. What an unselfish guy as well he is. I really hope we haven't seen the last of Chris Rico as well, might I add. But great wrestling with him, great teaming with him. We've made loads and loads of history, and all the time in the world for that man. Fantastic. Good pick.
There we go. So is that part one of the Caiman versus Rico match, or was that part two?
I think it was, well, I don't know, I think there were several parts, wasn't it? You know, it built up. I think I spent about 6 to 8 months wrestling Rico altogether. We'd wrestle everywhere. Change it up all the time. We went through a few different variations, a few different gimmicks went on. There was one, he'd come out all the time and he'd whip me with a weights belt. And so we decided backstage, right, you whip me with this weights belt. It's a small, intimate crowd. Don't worry about it. I won't hold it against you. Just whip me with that fucking weights belt. And in fairness to him, he pays attention to detail. He follows instruction to detail. He whipped the living piss out of me with it. I had welts on my back, just like that. You know, welts on my back. They were massive. I think my back was bleeding after the one time. But we went through this little gimmick where he'd come out all the time. He'd always end up beating me, and he'd whip me with his belt. And eventually then, everyone wanted me to beat the piss out of him with his belt. Eventually, I beat him with it. We did that. He was a part of the system then as well, he was. Johnny James's faction, the system, they were fantastic. Riot starters in the studio bar, right? Almost started a fucking riot every time the show was on in the studio bar in Merthyr. It was brilliant. How they didn't get glassed, I don't know about it. But yeah, it was great. Eventually then I had to beat everyone in the system, including guests. But me and Rico then had a match, a pinnacle match in Canton Community Hall in Cardiff, where it was a loser leaves town match. Rico ended up losing that. We beat the living hell out of each other again, as we often did. And yeah, he was out for a while then. And eventually then, he made the save on me somewhere down the line, several months later. And the Tie-Dye Mafia was born.
Tie-Dye Mafia.
Yeah.
Tie-Dye Mafia.
I wish we'd done more as well as the Tie-Dye Mafia. I think that was when I was sort of winding down a bit, I think it was. It was like, right, let's just have a fucking laugh, you know, right? Let's just not beat the piss out of everyone. Let's not just beat the piss out of each other. Let's not do silly things, though. Me, him, Scouse and Ham did a silly one to finish off. But yeah, we had so much fun doing that. Just, I think because we'd fought each other for so long, we built up that chemistry, and then the tag team element of it meant more then. He was charismatic. I was charismatic. He was great on the mic. I think I was quite amusing on the mic myself. And we just played off well together. It was a blast. I had such a good time doing Tie-Dye Mafia. I do wish we'd done more, though. I wish maybe we'd started it a bit earlier. But if we did, we would have missed out on some of the other bits then as well.
Yeah.
Can I say as well one thing while we're on the subject, just in case it doesn't come up after?
Go for it.
Chris Rico, right? Unselfish man, very unselfish man, true professional. I booked Steve Corino to come over, and I was due to wrestle in Holland the Thursday before. I was due to wrestle Corino on the Sunday. Then the Thursday before that, I was due to wrestle Mark Kodiak in Holland, and then I think the Friday before that, then I was fighting in a triple threat elimination match against Rico and Nick Beretta, right? I went into that match as interactive champion. Rico went into it as CW heavyweight champion. Nick Beretta went in with nothing to lose, everything to gain, yeah? So Beretta was eliminated by, I believe it was Rico. So Rico then won the interactive championship. Prior to the match, Rico said to me, right, because I had said before that, as I mentioned earlier, I'm never going to put a belt on myself because I'm the promoter. Even though I'm promoting to promote myself, to put myself out there, I never really agreed with promoters putting belts on themselves. There's an argument for that, but whatever.
We're going to go into it. We will go into that as well. We'll save it, but we'll
That's
go
cool.
into.
No worries. No worries. But Rico said to me then, he said, look, why don't you take the Celtic Wrestling title from me tonight? I was like, or it might have been a couple of days before. I can't really remember. I said, no, man, I've always said, as the promoter, I'm never going to put a belt on myself. He said, look, listen to me a sec. Just hear me out. So I heard him out. He said, right, you're wrestling in Holland on Thursday for Dutch Championship Wrestling, all right? Wouldn't it be good, A, if you went to Holland, opened up your bag, and then everyone's there like, oh, what's that belt? Oh, this guy's a champion. Oh, he must be something, you know? Wouldn't that be great? And it'd be a good rub for the Celtic Wrestling Championship as well, and for Celtic Wrestling itself, if they're all saying, oh, what belt's that? And you say, oh, it's Celtic Wrestling. And we had the website at the time, CelticWrestling.com. So I was like, right, okay. He said, then you've got Steve Corino coming in on Sunday in an ECW rules match. It's going to be awesome. But why don't you go into that match then? Because I was always down to fight Steve Corino because that was my gimmick. That's what I would do. Why don't you go into that match as the Celtic Wrestling Heavyweight Championship, beat Steve Corino, and then that's a major rub for A, you, and B, that title. And then I'll take it back off you again then, you know? I was like, all right, okay. When you put it like that, so we talked a bit more about it, but basically, I didn't put a belt on myself. Chris Rico put a belt on me. So yeah, unselfish man, top guy, great business head, and an all-out quality wrestler. So here's to you, Chris.
Much respect to Chris, and hopefully I get to meet him at some point, somewhere down the line, because a lot
Have
of
you
people...
never met him?
No, I've known who he is, obviously just through social media, but I've never met him, but everybody has such nice things to say about him. So
yeah, he's a good guy.
It'd be really good to meet him. Let's talk about Plasterscene. How did that go about, your band?
Plasterscene. That was basically after I'd tied up wrestling, I think it was. It was like, right, I finished wrestling. I still need the buzz. I still need to perform. I still need a crowd to work off, you know. I've always tampered writing songs, pissing about with a guitar. I'm not a guitarist, right? I'm just a guy that owns a guitar. But yeah, I've always been like a fan of the Chili Peppers and that as well. And when I've seen them in gigs and I'm like, oh, he looks like he's having such a great time. And he's not taking any bumps either, so he's not really hurting himself, you know. Yeah. So to me, it was the same buzz as wrestling, but without the pain element of it, you know. And by God, I hurt myself a lot while I was wrestling over time. So I just got a band together, wrote some songs, said to the boys, right, this is what I've come up with on the guitar, din, 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 din. Make it sound good. Here's my lyrics. And then we just get together, give it a whirl. And we ended up playing in front of 15,000 people in Cardiff at one time as well, you know. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't our concert. We were part of it. But what a buzz to play in front of 15,000 people. Yeah. It was great. We started just, you know, we'd play hell as well. We made some videos as well. We had production teams in to make music videos for us. There's a little Easter egg in every video as well. Remember Al Snow's head? I adopted that for Plasterscene then. And I'd be at gigs and I'd shout to the crowd, what does everybody want? And eventually they'd start shouting back, head. What does everybody need? Head. It was great, it was. But that mannequin head appears somewhere in every Plasterscene video as well. So if you're on YouTube, type in Plasterscene, Plasterscene, Plasterscene band, and then have a look at some of our videos. They're quite good. I wrote all the videos as well, but we did have professional production teams in to do them as well. So it was good. It was a good buzz, Plasterscene. But like I said, the reason it happened was I was winding down from wrestling. I think by the time we started gigging, I actually had wound down from wrestling in 2009 after Bassey splashed me all over the concrete in Canton Community Hall via a rolling summer one. But yeah, it was all about getting that same buzz that I got from wrestling without breaking bones and having concussions.
Fair enough, can't argue that. For anybody's watching and they're interested in band Plasterscene, I shall link to the script.
Do it. Make it happen.
You know what I'm going to say. I will link the page in the description below. Go check them out. So we're going to talk about let's talk about a bit about your fame right now for Caiman's Canvas. So obviously, you know, after a couple of months, I want to say, doing your paintings, your art, you posted a video about why you started doing it. So again, if anybody who would like to watch that, I shall post the link in the description below. But for the sake of this video, if you want to go into a bit of it. So
yeah, of course, man.
Where did it all come about?
It all started with lockdown, right? I haven't painted anything since school, really. You know, perhaps I've had a little go here and there, but I've never got into it and never considered myself a painter as such. Until someone said to me a few months back, "How much for this?" And I was like, "Whoa, hang on a second," you know. But yeah, lockdown basically for me. I've no longer got divorced. I'm living alone now. I'm very much a people person. I'm very much a social butterfly. I like going out. I like having a social. I like being with my friends, being with my brothers. I'm just an out there guy, you know. I don't like to be inside, and I don't like my own company too much, you know. It plays on my mind. I go to dark places, and they're not places I like to be. But while I was on lockdown, came across an old childhood hero of mine, Mr. Timmy Mallet. He was doing Facebook Lives, and I didn't realize he was an artist now, you know. His paintings sell for thousands. But he was there, he was talking you through what he was doing on this blank canvas, and I was just mesmerized by it. I was just watching this blank canvas just turn into this masterpiece. And I thought to myself, that looks pretty easy, that does, you know. Let's have a go. So I had to go myself, dug all my old painting stuff out from my parents' garage, got a couple of canvases, had a little go. And do you know what? I'd lose myself sometimes then. For the one time, I think I was about 4.5 hours, just forgetting the world. I turned my phone off. I wasn't having these dark feelings anymore. I was painting the places I want to be. I was painting like beachscapes, landscapes and all that. They weren't the greatest, but I felt like I was there in my mind as I was painting them. Like I was painting the sea and I was making the noises of the sea and everything. Daft as it sounds, I was right in that canvas. I was zoned in. And, you know, for my well-being, for my mental health, for purposes of not having depression, it helped a hell of a lot, you know, a hell of a lot. So it was a blast. And from there, people started asking me then. I made a page then, Caiman's Canvas, just to show people what I'd been up to. You know, that I wasn't going to do anything stupid. A lot of people checked in with me because they know what I'm like. They were like, "Are you all right? I know you're probably suffering now, etc." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm cool. I'm painting, man. It's great. Look at this." But I started putting them up on Caiman's Canvas then. Some friends of mine who've got a pub in Newport then, they messaged me. They were like, "How much for these 3?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know, this much." They said, "Don't be so stupid. No, we'll pay you this much." I was like, "Fantastic, great." So they came over to collect them then. Then I started putting them on eBay. And then I had a message from my partner then. She messaged me. She said, sent me a picture of like a Pat Butcher nude. It was just a pencil drawing of a Pat Butcher nude. She said, "This sold for £201 on eBay. You're in the wrong, you're on the wrong theme here." I was like, "Fuck it, I'm going to do a Pat Butcher nude then." So I got a picture of Pat up then, did that. Sold that for 18 quid on eBay. I thought, excellent, there's a couple of quid to be made here as well. And I'm losing myself in time on this canvas. It's doing wonders for my mental health. It's doing wonders for my positivity and well-being. And I'm making a couple of quid off it, which is doing even better for my positivity and well-being. So I thought to myself then, right, nudes are the way forward. Who's next? So there I was doing my work from home. The TV was on in the background. And then I just saw this little shine in the corner of my eye. I turned around. Janet Street Porter was smiling at me from the television. I thought, "Oh, tonight is your night, Janet. You're having it." So I undressed her with my eyes, thought she's going to look like that naked. In the evening then, I got my canvas there, primed it. Got a little base picture of Janet with her lovely little red glasses on. And I thought, right, tonight is the night that we give birth to the Janet Street Porter nude. I did it. Immediately after, I tweeted it to Loose Women. I posted it on Facebook, tweeted it to Loose Women, tweeted it to Janet. I thought, great. I chucked it on eBay then. I thought, right, hopefully Janet or Loose Women will make a comment now. so other people see my link, and I might get a couple of quid for this on eBay. Now I might get like 30 quid or something. Anyway, I was back in the office the next day. So I was coming home from the office then, lunchtime. My phone goes, ding, eBay notification. This painting's now 40 quid. I'm like, oh, fantastic, brilliant. Again, ding, 80 quid. I'm like, oh, fantastic. I'm in the money here. Next thing you know, ding, 100 quid, ding, 400 quid, ding, grand, 5 grand, 8 fucking grand. I was like, what's going on? And then I see my eBay messages. They are just going up. Like someone's clicking. I'm like, click, 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 click. I got about 25 messages. So I start reading through them. I read through the one then. They're all wishing me well on this painting. I'm like, what's happened today? Is someone taking a piss or what? But I read through the one then, and it says, oh, I'm guessing you probably know by now, hence the sudden price rise on your painting. Your painting was just shown to Janet live on Loose Women. I went white. I was like, what the fuck? Is this a joke or what? So I got to the telly then. Loose Women had finished. And it was like, oh, no. So I had to wait till the night then to watch it back. But my phone was off the hook then. Everyone messaging, have you seen this? Have you seen this? I was like, no, I haven't. Well, my painting sold for 5.5 grand now, you know. Someone withdrew a couple of bids and everything. So, you know, the end bid then was 5.5 grand. I managed to watch it back in the night. It was absolutely hysterical. I was in touch then with the producers, asking me to go on the show, asking me to do some other paintings, etc., paint them all new. I was like, right, can Christine Lampard pose for it? Or I'd probably be able to get the others, but she'll have to pose in my luxury home. She didn't, by the way, she didn't agree to it. But yeah, 5.5 grand they went for in the end. Obviously, I sent payment details in and everything to the buyer. They weren't getting back to me. I thought, all right, I smell a rat here. I see what's going on here. They messaged me back eventually then, about 4 days later. I'm going to have to pull out. I'm having some problems. I just thought, all right, they're not going to kick up a song and dance about it. I never had the money to miss in the first place. I'll just relist it and hope there's still some trend there with it, you know. There wasn't, unfortunately. I think if it had gone back on TV, there may have been. But I got in talks then with the local museum, Cavartha Castle, and they agreed to have it and display it in their museum. It's great. This the Cavartha Castle, the former home of the Iron Master, William Crochet. A lot of local history there. A lot of national history there as well. And now, as you walk in past the counter, take a swift left into the gallery. The first painting you will see is the Janet Street Porter Nude. So, yeah, I never made 5.5 grand off it. But by God, that painting now carries its own story. And due to this Loose Women business, my page has probably quadrupled in numbers, and I've sold loads more paintings as well. For example, if I may.
Feel free.
This one here sold last night, and it's on its way to Blackwood. This one is. It sold for a figure which I am very happy with as well. So can you see him, who he is?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
It's Donald Dump.
Donald Dump, love it.
Donald Trump on the shitter, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's, I got to pack that one up tomorrow. He's on his way to Blackwood, he is. But I did the Boris one then as well, the Boris lingerie one. Did you see that one?
Yeah.
It's the best he's ever looked, let me tell you.
Yeah.
And that went to Aberdeenshire in Scotland, that one did. And I did a load of limited edition prints. They've gone far and wide all over the UK. And one of which has gone a little further, jumped on a little aeroplane, and it's gone to Illinois. So Caiman's canvas is now worldwide. Shit.
Camera's gone off.
What's happened?
Don't know, your camera's gone off. Not sure.
Is it back on now?
There we go. But
Happy days, yeah, worldwide.
That's brilliant. That's absolutely fantastic. Like, you know, I remember seeing it on Facebook, and I was like, it was nice to see that something brilliant and, you know, it's happened to a really nice person. You know, it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy, in all fairness. It
wasn't a great painting anyway. It certainly wasn't the greatest painting I've done. It's probably the quickest painting I've done, in fact. I just thought, we'll start with the teeth, right? We'll chuck a big nose in there. Excellent. Let's get them glasses. And then about 20 minutes, it was done. And that's my most famous painting, you know, the one that's took the least amount of effort. But you find that in things. You find that in wrestling as well, right?
Less is more. Less is more.
Funky moves, right? And you could spend years and months or whatever perfecting these moves, right? But then you do this little simple thing and you get the best reaction from it, you know?
Exactly.
Good analogy.
Yeah, definitely. That's a brilliant, man, honestly. So, you don't have to speak about this if you don't want to, but obviously I like to ask some people, talk about mental health briefly.
Yeah, man, I'm an open book. I am, no worries. I'll talk about anything.
Great.
Mental health, I've never, been under the authority of mental health as such.
Yeah.
But I have been suicidal. I have took a hit on myself before as well. Thankfully, I live to tell the tale. I have swallowed a load of tablets with a bunch of Jack Daniels. That wasn't that long ago either. But upon doing so, I thought to myself, Caiman, what the fuck are you doing? What if you regret this when you're like, and you can't move and you think, I shouldn't have done it. And then you're just there waiting for it to happen, So I ran to the toilet then, shoved my whole hand down my throat basically and screwed that up. I've gone through some dark times. I still go through some dark times. I've discussed it with you before, man, like message yourself.
Yeah.
But it's not forever, it's just a moment, It's like night turns to day in the end, all right? So it's just about getting through it. And I think for me, what's helped me with it, as we've just talked about, painting has helped me with it. Writing songs has helped me with it. Making a noise on that guitar over there has helped me with it. It's just keeping busy. The busier you are, the more active your mind is. The less that dark cloud or that black dog comes along and gets in your ear, So, yeah, I've suffered a bit with, it's undiagnosed, right? But I'm self-diagnosing. I know what depression is. I've suffered with depression, particularly through like the divorce, through going from living with someone for X amount of years to all of a sudden living on your own. And it's just like, whoa, hang on, it don't feel right. It don't feel real. It don't feel normal. But it's all about making that the new normal and finding little things to do, little things to fill your day, or more so your night, in my experience, because that's when it gets worse. As say after like 7, 8 o'clock, that's when it tends to get worse. But it's just about keeping busy. Ring someone, phone someone, message someone. Just keep busy, keep occupied, and think to yourself, you're not the only person going through it. Other people have gone through it. Tomorrow is another day. Tomorrow is always another day. An hour's time is a totally different time. What I feel now, I might not feel in 5 minutes. Do you know what I mean? So just, don't do anything stupid. All right. I've tried it, but I've seen the error of my stupidity. There are people out there who have gone through similar things. There are people out there who care. And there are people out there who haven't even got a fucking clue that you were going through it. So don't be afraid to tell people if you're suffering. I do know as well, right? I do. I'll message someone, some of my closest friends and that. All right, like my mother, my father, I wouldn't want to put that burden on them as such. So I wouldn't necessarily message them and say, oh, look, I got like 500 tablets here and I bought a Jack Daniels. I'm off to that. I wouldn't do that to them, right? But I've got close friends and brothers. I would message them and I just say, look, I'm on a bad one. Pop down, have a chat. And it helps. It all helps. Just get it off your chest.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and obviously it is hard to talk about, isn't it? Sometimes, but once you kind of start, it helps. It really is. It's people. You don't understand how important it is to speak to somebody. I mean, it can be the smallest of things, and the smallest things can be the thing that triggers you the most.
Yeah.
Sometimes, unfortunately, when you do stuff to yourself, like, whether it be self-harming, like stuff that you've done, it takes that sometimes to realize, actually, I don't need to be doing this. I can find, you found your painting.
Yeah.
You play guitar, you do songwriting. With me, I've been on a diet. That's cleared my mind up so much. Which is great. Obviously I've got my kids, got my wife. I've started doing like a little day job now in the mornings, helping somebody out, and that's helped me. So
that's it. I think having some routine, having some routine in your life helps a lot.
Definitely.
And sticking to that routine.
Yeah, definitely does. Yeah, thanks for being so open about your experiences with mental health.
No, man, I'm an open book. Like I said, no worries.
I like
I'm pretty happy now. Anyway, I'm in a good place again, so it's all good.
Good man. I only do this just because what maybe somebody watching this is going to help somebody. And if we can help somebody, then happy.
Yeah. If anyone's on a downer and they want something to put a smile on their face, I'm not going to send dick pics or nothing, right? So don't get any ideas, particularly the females watching. I wouldn't want to haunt anyone either. But no, if anyone's suffering, just message me. I'll just say some funny shit and put a smile back on your face. Or if you want a serious conversation, I can do that as well, right? I just choose not to half the time.
Yeah, definitely. In my experience, it's always been something funny. So there we go. It's always helped me. So next question. Should we go back to the hotel and what you said earlier? Let's listen to this then.
Okay, so myself, Andre, Fergal David, aka Finn Balor, and Paul Tracy in a hotel. I believe it was a Travel Lodge hotel. Yeah, it was. The other one's purple. It wasn't purple. It was a Travel Lodge in Cardiff Gate, I believe. So they were down. I just started in wrestling. I was just going through my training. They were down as guest trainers for the first session in CUTOUT Community Centre. They'd gone out somewhere. So it was just me and Andre at the hotel. Fergal and Paul had gone out somewhere. They wanted to see the city and all that. They were excited because they were from Ireland. They hadn't been to Cardiff and all that. I was like, want to see the city? In an Irish accent, or an American one, or whatever that shit was then, all right? Attention to detail, right? That's irrelevant.
Yeah.
But somehow, Andre had the swipe key for the door. So he says, right, come on. They're going to the sea. They're going to the sea. Come with me. Come on, Caiman, come on. So he swipes their door like that, bursts into their bathroom, grabs 2 toothbrushes out of the pot. He says, come on, one for you, one for me, one for you. So he gives me a toothbrush. He's on his knees then, round the pisser, like that. He's got his toothbrush, right? He's like, scrubbing, dunking, swilling it, flushing the chain, everything. You went, right, go on, you. I said, no, I'm not doing that. He said, come on, you want to be a wrestler? You got to be a ribber. I was like, oh, no, come on, you want to be a wrestler? You got to be a ribber. I was like, get down, come on, fucking get down. I was like, all right, I'm not going to argue with you. Dropped on my knees. I'm not sure if it was Fergal's or Paul's toothbrush, but it was the blue one, whoever's that was. Down he went anyway, swilled it. Andre was there then, grinning like a Cheshire cat, flushing the chain, swill. We put him back. Andre's just like that, and come on, first rib, come on, come back in, quick, before they come back in. So, to this day, unless they saw something else I spoke about the other day on Bassie's show, unless they've seen that, they don't know about it to this day. So my apologies. I was put up to it by my mentor. I had to do what he said. He was my mentor. So I'm fucking lucky.
I'm disgusted. Also, you mentioned Bass's show. So I'm going to do a quick plug for him. So if any of you want to go and watch Caiman's interview with Bassi, head onto YouTube. And it's called The Total Respect Show. Caiman is the first episode of the Total Respect Show. So that was shit. Yeah,
it'll do. Just watch the Total Respect Show, guys. It's good. It's all right. It's a good watch.
There we go. It's like 2.5 hours. So if you got 2.5 hours spare on the weekend,
don't have to watch it in one hit, or just get a few beers and watch it with that. It's a good crack.
Just like this one, to get a few beers and watch this.
Yeah, well, why not? I got a few. I've had a few already, but there's a few more to go.
You said something about putting the belts on yourself that you don't agree with. I want to know where you're going with that. So give me your information about that.
Putting a belt on yourself as a promoter. Although I've put it on myself twice, right? The first time I was told to. The second time, it just felt like the right thing to do at the time for the company. But I still don't agree with it. So call me contradicting, but I don't really care. No, I think if you're winning a belt, it should be the promoter's choice to put that belt on you. Yeah. For my first time as Celtic Wrestling Heavyweight Champion, as far as I'm concerned, I didn't put that on myself. Chris Rico put it on me, all right? And he put up a good case, and it was a good reason to do so. The second time I won the Celtic Wrestling belt, I only took it as a transitional championship, right? That I defended 3 times before dropping it back to Mad Dog Max, yeah? So it was just a case of, you know, mix it up a bit, blah-de-blah-de-blah. But no, I just believe that anyone can put a belt on themselves, right? Any promoter stroke wrestler can put a belt on themselves. I think it means more for the belt, and more importantly, so I think for that wrestler, if it's put on them for a reason rather than it's my promotion, I'm going to be the champion. Because I've seen a lot of that. And although I've held that belt twice, it wasn't a case of I'm the promoter, I'm going to be the champion. Because it took probably about 2 years before I did put it on myself. Not that I put it on myself. That was Rico again. But yeah, I just think if you're going to win a belt, be an excellent wrestler, be the best that you can, and earn it, and have someone put it on you.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But with that said, I did technically put it on myself twice. So so you guys shoot me if you want to, guys.
Yeah, but like you said a minute ago, like there's reasons as to why you put it on yourself. You know,
yeah.
It wasn't selfish. No selfish reasons whatsoever.
It weren't for selfish reasons. No, it weren't like, oh, I want to be a champion. Oh, I want to have this. Oh, it's my company. I'm having a belt. It really wasn't. It was just the way the roster went, and we had ongoing storylines. The way they went, it was just the right thing to do both times, I think.
Can't argue it. If anybody disagrees,
yeah. And at the time as well, we didn't have a lot of established talent who were regulars. So it was like, right, who can we put it on, you know? So, and I knew I wasn't going anywhere. Do you know what I mean? I knew I was going to stick around. So, you know, that's how we went.
Can't argue it, like I said. So that's my questions done for you. But we have we have a statement and we have a question. So I'm going to start with a statement of Daniel Thomas. I think you know him, not quite sure.
Yeah, we might have met once or twice back in the day. Is he a 12-year-old kid, all dressed in blue? Is that the guy?
I think so. And he keeps saying how he's supposed to fight you a couple of times and you never turned up for whatever reason.
Yeah.
It's similar to Danny.
Bigger and better people to fight, Dan.
Yeah.
You know?
He does look very similar to that dangerous Danny Owens, but I don't know anyway. So his statement is, it's not really a question, but statement, I'm still waiting for the painting of me.
Painting of him? Oh, yeah. Well, I'm still waiting for the money as well, you know? I'm not a fucking charity case here, Dan. Come on, for crying out loud. You give me money, I give you paint. How's that?
There we go.
I'm joking. In all seriousness, I'm only taking a piss. If he's serious, and I thought he was joking when he asked for it, to be honest with you, all right? But if you are watching, Dan, and you seriously want that, give me a message and we'll sort it. I have got a couple on. And I've got a couple of Harry Potter ones I've got to do for Christmas for one individual as well, that they've paid for. So once I've done them, I'll have a crack at it if you really want me to.
He probably will. He is his own mark.
He is. He very much is.
And he admits that as well, so you can't knock it.
Hey, so would I be if I was him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I wouldn't.
He's got it all. Apart from size, he's got little man syndrome.
Yeah. Chris Edmonds, he asks, what's the biggest crowd you've worked in front of?
The biggest crowd I've worked in front of? Probably, the one I remember most was me and Rico in Canton Community Hall, absolutely chock-a-block in there, probably broke all sorts of rules in terms of fire regulations and all that, right? It was absolutely rammed in there. You shouldn't have that many people in that hall. That's the one I remember most, thinking, as we come out as the Tie-Dye Mafia, we had Eugene on that show as well, all right? We had Eugene on it. And we came out as the Tie-Dye Mafia. And I remember there's a video of this, and we were looking at him going, look at this. It was nuts. There was such an energy off him as well. That's the one I remember most, as in, wow, what a big crowd. But when I wrestled for Orig Williams, I know there were more people there, but it was a different kind of crowd. You know what I mean? It was a different demographic paying to watch. We had like pretty much students and like ECW fans watching us, all right? So they were louder, rowdier, and more bloodthirsty, if you will. And pretty much a lot of marks now, you know. But with Orig, it was more family orientated and all that, so they were a bit more well behaved. So it didn't seem such an energetic crowd, if you're with me. And that's no insult to Orig's product, God rest his soul. I had a lot of fun working for Orig, and I learned a lot when I worked for Orig as well. But it's just two different styles, basically, all right? So one was very adult orientated, one was very PG orientated, which was Orig. So there were more people for Orig, definitely, but it was they weren't as loud, weren't as bloodthirsty. They were more respectable, if you will, then, yeah?
Right, fair enough. There we go, Chris. There's your question answered. And that's it. That's the conclusion.
Happy days, man.
It's been Rambles. Thank you very much for coming on, Caiman.
Thank you for having me, man. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been great listening to your story. Nice little catch-up after, 7, 8 years, something like that.
It's been a while, man. It's been a hell of a while, yeah. It's been good. It's been nice to come on, man.
Yeah, definitely, man. But yeah, we finally had you on. We finally had you on at last.
Hey, it finally happened. I know.
So I'm hoping in the future we're going to be getting a Celtic Rambles going.
Yeah, I'll be part of that, man.
Going to try and get a lot of people on and just.
That's cool. What, we're talking all in one hit, or like stage by stage?
So Zoom works where you have like a load of screens like we got now.
That's cool.
I want to get about 10 people, so we try and get. Obviously, we get Bass. We try and get Method and Madness, Danny Owens. I think Trimble needs to be on this as well.
Yeah, he's the Bible, isn't he?
Yeah.
I asked him the other day. I said, who was the most defending Celtic Wrestling heavyweight champion then, Trimble? Have a look for me. He got back to me then. He said, you. I was like, thank you very much. I'll take that. And I'll just drop that in closing.
There we go. So, yeah, that's been Caiman. I've been Keyboard, the beer drinking, metal listening, ball-headed brawler. Fucking badass, that is. Thank you, Pai Sandberg,
I'm afraid
for that.
that's all we got time for.
Stay safe, stay positive.
Please subscribe. Thank you very much,
yeah.
and good night.
Boom!